Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. If you've ever felt the absolute pain of juggling competing cloud workloads or trying to act as the peacekeeper between business leaders wanting revenue growth and tech leaders emphasizing risk mitigation, well, you are in the exact right place. Welcome to Tech Roadmap Prioritization. We're going to explore how to permanently stop the political infighting and perfectly align your business and technical stakeholders before a single line of code is even written.
To understand why this is so absolutely crucial, we just need to look at this number, 70. Startling research from McKinsey shows that 70% of digital transformations fail. That is a massive failure rate. And honestly, the root cause usually boils down to stakeholder misalignment and an inability to scale initiatives beyond those early pilots. Essentially, before you can start architecting your workloads, your entire team absolutely must agree on which ones deserve focus first.
So, we are going to contrast the old, chaotic way of prioritizing with the Tech Roadmap Prioritization, or TRP, framework. See, the old way usually means decisions just default to political influence, recency bias, and tracking things across endless, confusing spreadsheets. The high-value work just ends up stalling. But the TRP way? It gives you a highly structured, repeatable mechanism for decision-making. You get everyone into one room for exactly 1 hour, and you walk out with one actionable, visual, shared artifact.
Here's our game plan for this explainer, which is basically your ultimate management consulting playbook to master the TRP session. We'll hit the prioritization trap, meet the TRP matrix, decode the quadrants, walk through the 1-hour playbook, cover facilitation do's and don'ts, and finally talk about what happens beyond the first session.
Let's get right to it. Number 1, the prioritization trap. Why does your high-value work keep stalling?
As an architect or a tech leader, you definitely know this pain. Developers are heads-down working story backlogs, and support teams are burning through ticket queues. But without a shared view across the organization, competing initiatives, like a massive new product launch, a sales expansion, and a critical security upgrade, they just create friction. The business leaders frame urgency entirely around revenue, while tech leaders frame it around risk. High-value work stalls out simply because there's zero shared language to understand the trade-offs.
So how do we fix that exact friction? Let's move on to number 2. Meet the TRP Matrix, where we start actually visualizing your backlog.
This brilliantly illustrates the mental model of the TRP Matrix. It gives everyone one shared artifact where position alone dictates priority. Think of every single initiative as a bubble. The x-axis represents cost and complexity, from low to high. The y-axis plots potential business impact, again, low to high. The size of the bubble shows its strategic importance to the organization, and finally, the color of the bubble represents its core strategy type. So, instead of arguing over whose project is more important, the conversation naturally shifts to, okay, where does this initiative land relative to everything else?
And speaking of that bubble color, healthy cloud architectures absolutely must balance the MOM framework: Modernize, Optimize, and Monetize. You use yellow for Modernize, which is improving what already exists. Blue is for Optimize, focusing on reducing cost or boosting efficiency. And green is Monetize, meaning initiatives that generate entirely new revenue. Look, if your matrix is entirely blue, you aren't investing in growth. If it's entirely green, your technical debt is probably piling up. Balance here is everything.
All right, moving to number 3. Decoding the quadrants. Let's see exactly what action to take based on where an initiative lands.
If an initiative lands up in the upper left, that's a strategic quick win. High business impact, but low cost and complexity. So what's your next move? Your job is to assign an owner, set a delivery date, and execute it right now. These are the golden projects that build immediate momentum and prove value to your stakeholders.
Now, in stark contrast, look at the upper right quadrant. These are your strategic transformations. Yes, they are incredibly high impact, but they are also high cost and highly complex. Because of that, you absolutely do not commit resources on day 1. Instead, run a proof of concept, schedule workshops to close skill gaps, and de-risk the project first before you ever attempt to scale it.
Dropping down to the lower left, we've got your tactical quick wins, low impact and low cost. While they aren't going to massively move the needle for the company, you should simply delegate them or batch them together. Getting them out of the way clears the backlog and frees up vital mental energy for the strategic work sitting at the top of the board. And finally, that leaves us with the lower right quadrant, your questionable initiatives. Low impact but high cost. You need to park these here so they stay visible on the matrix, which proves to stakeholders they haven't been forgotten. But you absolutely do not invest in them yet. They wait until the business case fundamentally changes.
So, how do you actually build this thing? Let's dive into number 4, the 1-hour playbook for running the session.
Remember, you are the facilitator here, not the decision maker. Step 1 of your playbook, get the right people in the room. This means the CTO, VP of Engineering, product leaders, and line of business owners sitting at the very same table. Step 2, bring 5 to 15 pre-written initiatives. Any fewer is trivial, and any more will totally break your 1-hour time limit. Step 3, ask 4 relative qualitative questions for each one. How big is it relative to the others? How strategically important is it? What's the business impact? And does it align with Modernize, Optimize, or Monetize? Finally, step 4, close the session by assigning every initiative an owner and a concrete next step.
Now, facilitating this smoothly requires some real discipline, so let's look at number 5, facilitation do's and don'ts.
First up, do establish your role right away. Tell the room, I am here to facilitate. The decisions are yours. Do force the group to focus on the what and the why by redirecting technical jargon into business outcomes. But whatever you do, absolutely do not let the group derail the hour by diving into architecture details or the how. If someone starts solutioning a data layer, stop them and pull them back to relative priority. Also, don't skip your preparation. Walking in without that list of 5 to 15 initiatives is a recipe for disaster. And don't ignore missing data. If nobody can estimate a project's impact, just flag it for discovery.
A successful TRP session is definitely not a one-off meeting. Let's wrap up with number 6, beyond the first session.
You really have to treat this matrix as a living document. You want to call an out-of-cycle review whenever one of these 5 major triggers occurs. A major strategic shift like an acquisition, a failed or stalled initiative that alters your capacity, significant budget changes, a massive new high-priority project dropping onto your plate, or, conversely, a successfully completed initiative that suddenly frees up team capacity to pull forward new work.
To prove this works out in the wild, let's look at Zinnia Insurance. They use the TRP framework to ruthlessly prioritize their critical workloads during an AWS migration. The matrix quickly revealed that their core order entry platform, AnnuityNet, was the highest impact initiative. Because they had that shared visual agreement, they were able to confidently delay other projects, like their data warehouse and commission systems, and focus all their firepower in the exact right place.
By focusing resources properly, the results were literally staggering. They completed their massive migration in just 16 months. Today, they process over 55% of all digital annuity sales in the United States entirely on AWS infrastructure. That's the power of complete stakeholder alignment.
I want to leave you with this final, incredibly powerful question that you can use to permanently protect your roadmap. When an executive pushes for a questionable initiative down in the lower right quadrant, you just point to the matrix and ask, if we do this, what moves off the board to make room? That single question forces real prioritization. Try implementing the TRP matrix in your next planning cycle and watch how quickly the political infighting fades away into actionable clarity.